It's all fun and games until you lose a ball game. Well, luckily the Chiefs haven't gone through that, but they're winning ugly and on the edge. Can they keep it going today? I'm Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, friends and neighbors. We're brought to you today by Gametime. You can download the Gametime app, create your account, and use our code LOCKEDONNFL. That'll get you $20 off of your first purchase. Go check out Gametime. We are here with Matt Derrick from Chiefs Digest, the editor-in-chief at large and in charge. And you can check him out on his site, chiefsdigest.com, as well as Chiefs Digest here on the YouTube platform, where thank you for making us your first listen. Like, sub, hit the bell. Check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. We would very much appreciate it. Lot to go on today. I'm going to cover it all. I'm Ryan. If you guys don't know me yet, I've been here for like 8 years, so welcome to the train. I run Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting, NFL 33, and RGR Football. Now, we have to get to what the AFC is and is not right now. We're going to get to that coming up later. Winning ugly is something that they're doing, but can they sustain it? That's coming up soon. But, Matt, we got to start right here. Foot number one with the state of this offense. It comes down to just doing enough to get by. I don't think there's a whole lot of pressure internally in the organization that, like, they have to win by big margins. Like, it's not that a couple of missteps is unexpected, right? As long as they end up with the win, that is the bottom line, right? No matter how ugly it might look.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, we're talking about same team and all. We are talking about the team that's like second in the AFC in scoring behind the Buffalo Bills. We're talking about that team, right? We're talking about the team that's like fifth in scoring in the NFL that's got, teams worried about, team's offense and everything, and they have Patrick Mahomes as quarterback. I just want to make sure that this is the team. I mean, I saw a question earlier, and I'm not singling anybody out here. I'm just saying I just saw the question. Is it time to worry about Patrick Mahomes? What in the world? No. There's no reason to worry. You're 3 games into a season. Is everything run perfectly? No. I mean, it's not. I mean, there's a few things. I mean, can this team be better? Sure. But you're right. I mean, Andy Reid said pretty much exact same thing a couple of times already this week, and we haven't even really started the week yet. I mean, ugly wins don't matter in the NFL. The only thing that matters is whether or not you won or not. And I mentioned after the game the other night, I do worry that is this team having to work too hard for wins when you're already knowing you're going to play you want to play a 20 or a 21 game schedule. You don't want to have to put too much effort into winning every single game. I mean, that's going to cost you. But no, I mean, this team, I mean, why worry in September? I mean, and I'm not saying that's the team's philosophy, although I think there is a little bit of that. I mean, I think there is certainly a little bit of why worry? I mean, there is plenty of time to work things out, to figure out what's going on. The Chiefs may even feel pretty comfortable with what they think is going wrong and how to fix it. So, I mean, I have zero concerns at this point about the Chiefs' offense.
I have a theory, and I think it's because it just looks different. I think there's a reason for it, and I'm going to mention that in the next segment, but I think it is about the fact that what have we been talking about? It's about, hey, Pacheco's running really well. They're giving him the rock. Now Steele is a phenomenon, right? Arguably Steele at the running back position making more of an impact than Xavier Worthy and Kingsley Suamataia, guys drafted, let alone drafted in the first round. To me, it feels like for the fan base, it is like, ooh, I don't know what to do with this because it doesn't look like my Chiefs of old. Do you think that carries any weight?
I mean, I do think that there's a little bit of, worrying about this team's offense just because it doesn't look like 2018 through 2020. And I get that. I mean, I think I get why everybody wants this team to go back to the glory days of going up and down the field, 7 yards a play and all this. I mean, I get that completely. I think one, it's a little bit unrealistic. And I admit, hey, I hold this team by a pretty high yardstick too. I mean, I grade them on a curve as well. Was that effort, offensively the other night an A+ effort? Far from it. And there's areas where they absolutely can improve. And there's things to nitpick even about Patrick Mahomes. But, I think you do have to grade it on, even the Chiefs themselves on a different curve. You're already comparing them to, what is, I think, peak performance if everything's going great. And the reality of it is that you can't have those glory days anymore because, part of it's because your quarterback was dirt cheap back then. So you could spend all the money you wanted to on offensive line and on wide receivers. And they did, because they were spending a ridiculous amount of money on Sammy Watkins, and they were spending a ridiculous amount of money on Eric Fisher and on Mitchell Schwartz. They put plenty of money into it. And now, it's harder because you have to manage your resources differently. And you can't just every year go out and patch whatever hole with a $20 million solution. So it's harder. But, it's to a degree, it's what Andy Reid and Brett Veach and Patrick Mahomes, why they're ridiculously paid as they are. They're paid to go fix the problems. And I see this as it's a Super Bowl contending team. So maybe I might be blowing it. I might be the one that you have to calm down this week, Ryan, because maybe I'm blowing things out of proportion, that everybody's worrying too much, because I just see it's like, I think everybody wants to go 17-0 and 20-0 and win the Super Bowl. And it's like, well, I want a pony and I want to win the lottery tonight and everything. It's probably not going to happen though. So I should probably be happy. I should probably be happy that I'm just still upright most days.
I feel you there. You have to take the good with the frustration, but yeah, we are a little jaded, I think, in this particular fan base. So winning ugly is perfectly fine. And I think that they can do that for the bulk of the season. They may have to. We're going to get to the reasons why coming up next. Right now, you guys can get into the action. For all of you NFL fans, you can get back into this season with a big return at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get hunched in the middle of the game and you want to go check it out, whether it's the late stats or whatever's changing in that game flow like it did tonight, you can check the live play-by-play, get much more on the same page, and then go place your bets during the ballgame. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets right now, guaranteed, when you place a $5 bet. And if you had Rashee Rice going over 100 yards in this one, you made yourself a nice little bundle. You can do it all at FanDuel.com. Go check it out today. That's FanDuel.com. And check out Locked On. I love the concept of having a double dose of Locked On NFL. You can do that every single day now. Locked On NFL here on YouTube and on the podcast network. Matt, ugly is ugly is ugly, and I'm perfectly comfortable with that. I'm a kid that grew up in Chicago in the 80s. So until 85, winning ugly was the only kind of winning there was. So at this point, I think that they're going to have to do that for a while until something magical happens, something that has bright lights and has a sign on the hill that says Hollywood. I actually feel like the evolution, at least in the early season of this offense, is being stymied because of the absence of Hollywood Brown and for all the work that was done in the offseason and all the connection that Patrick was building with him. Now it does feel like Patrick's pushing to find another option. Obviously, he has a rapport with Kelsey. He has a rapport with Rice that I think is highly on display. But I think the linchpin of that, the thing that was going to make it all work, was going to be the deeper game to Hollywood. How do you feel about that, and how do they correct that if that's the case?
Yeah, I think when we get into why are they playing ugly, and you summed up what my little riff in the first segment beautifully with just that, winning ugly is okay. But when you get to the whys of it, there's multiple levers, there's multiple reasons, but you hit on an important one, which is that you go back and you think about all of the installs and all the time that they spent, not only just with Hollywood, but building an offense around him. And it's not just simply even the plays that are in the playbook where Hollywood's the first option. It's all the things that you built this offense around with Hollywood on the field, saying that, hey, Hollywood's your X. Here's where he's going to be. Here's where the space he's going to occupy. So now, you're thinking in terms of here's where Hollywood's going to be. So this is what Travis is going to be able to do. And the defenses are going to be playing you a certain way. And you feel like you can play off of Hollywood with Xavier at the Z. And you can do these things because Hollywood's there. Well, now you don't have him. You've got other players who are in there and they don't draw the same attention. So to your point exactly, it's not just simply even, you're missing the production of a Hollywood Brown. You're missing just the presence of a Hollywood Brown on the field and what he could do at that position to just simply open things up for other players. That was really one of the keys that the Chiefs felt with the ability to get multiple playmakers on the field. And if you can have Hollywood, Worthy, and Kelsey all on the field at the same time, look at the things you can do. I mean, you take one piece away, it's not like you're just limiting what you can do at that one spot. You're limiting what everybody can do a little bit, because now what you're seeing is teams are guarding Kelsey a different way than they would if Hollywood was on the field. And your thought process has to completely change. And at the same time, you've gone through all that work, you've gone through all the installs. You're not going to just throw those plays out. You've got to make them work with the talent that you have and tweak what you have. So, yeah, I mean, I do think that's one. Is that 50% of the problem? No, it's not. I mean, it's a small part, but it's still a significant part, because it's just taking a square peg into a round hole. You have a position that was built for Hollywood, and now you're trying to put other guys into it.
I think the same thing could be said for left tackle spot. We've seen more rotation than I expected at this point in the season. That comes with its own set of adaptations that have to happen week to week. The bigger adaptation in my mind, and feel free to go into that if you think it's more than I'm making out of it. I think the bigger adaptation is everybody's defense having to step up to the field right now. I do get a little bit concerned when Steve Spagnuolo has to dig into the bag of blitzes so early in the season, because I know they do want to let it come together a little bit more naturally. Do you think, because of the nature of these games and having to get these tight wins, is that precluding anything or not leaving enough ceiling in this defense for Spagnuolo's play call later in the season or in the playoff run?
I mean, I think from that perspective, you're talking about, what you have to do to create pressure right now when maybe you're not creating as much as you want or getting the sacks that you want, turnovers that you want. I mean, you might be just showing more than you want to, and that really gets down to it because, you'd like to be able to still have unscouted looks and things that you're throwing at teams in December and January. So you're not just throwing it all out there and suddenly every team in the league's seen your best tricks. I mean, there's some concern about that, but at the same time, I'm not convinced that Steve Spagnuolo is ever going to run out of tricks when it comes to blitzes. I mean, he's got enough of them that I think he could probably run through him for a full season before he gets down to the complete bottom of the barrel. But I do think there's a little bit of concern about the fact that they feel like that it's how long are they going to have to do this until everything comes together? And I think that there's at least some reasons to believe it's coming together, because I'm at least seeing some progression in these first three games, that the defense is getting better. And, maybe discount a little bit with Atlanta, but at the same time, I mean, this was Atlanta's biggest game, not just this season, but Atlanta was saying it was their biggest game in like 15, 20 years. So, you got the Falcons' best shot, especially their offensive best shot. I mean, I don't think they're going to be able to put together much better efforts than that, especially with what the Chiefs did to their run game. I mean, that's something that has been consistent. The Chiefs' run defense has been great. It's been much better than I expected through the first three games. So the pass rush, maybe not as good, but how much of that is just getting everybody up to speed and really getting, situated in? I mean, Derrick Nottie is still working to 100%. Chris Jones missed the time coming in. So as good as he's been, is he 100%? You don't have Charles Omenihu. You're not 100% there. I mean, you've got a lot of pieces that you're still working in, and and the Chiefs, knock on wood, they still need to be healthy in order to get the pass rush that they want. But I think you're seeing at least this defense start to improve and showing that week to week improvement that Spags has been known for in Kansas City. And I mean, if that's the case, and we're talking about this defense, being like, it's not as good as it was last year. Well, they're giving up 20 points a game right now. If they're incrementally improving and they're going to be better than that down the road this season, you're going to be fine.
And to your point, they've taken some big shots from what we thought were big teams. No, the Bengals have not turned out to have the record that we expected at this point, but all this is rounding into shape, especially against the run game, just as you're about to take on Jim Harbaugh's Chargers. That's good setup for where they have to go in an AFC that doesn't quite look the way that we thought it does. We're going to dig into what the AFC is, and Matt's going to look at the Chargers coming up next. This show is brought to you by BetterHelp. With your schedule right now, the kids' activities, back to school, everything going on, the big work projects, and everything else in your life, it's easy to let your priorities slip. Even when you know what makes you happy and that you want to prioritize, it's hard to make it happen sometimes. When you feel like you don't have any time for yourself, it's time to make that happen. Therapy can help you with that. If you are thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's certainly geared toward everything that you're looking for, entirely online, suited to your schedule, and can be flexible to match what you need. You just fill out a questionnaire, you get matched with an actual therapist. And if not, if you don't gel or you want to switch therapists at any time, you can do that free of charge. Never skip another therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon. You're going to get 10% off of your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/lockedon. Folks, if you want the everyday knowledge, get on our text line at 816-357-8781. And if you want that much more, go to ChiefsDigest.com and Chiefs Digest here on the YouTube platform. Matt, I want to go back to something you said earlier, and you have a very good point. There's 5 undefeated teams in this league. The Chiefs are one of them. It is something we're probably taking for granted. But outside of that, the tide has shifted. It is on the way back out now for the AFC, in my opinion. There are 8 teams with a positive record in the NFC, only 6 in the AFC. And right now, there's a playoff team, if it started today, that has a losing record. That's a little bit different. What we have, though, is that the Chiefs' next opponent, the Chargers, are in that top group. And for all the hubbub about the Ravens, about the Bengals going forward, the Chargers might actually be the best team of the 3 of them, at least right now, as they're about to go to this matchup. So, yes, the Bills are doing their thing. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are a paper tiger, but that's just my opinion. When you take a look at who's actually winning in the NFL, in the AFC in particular, how do you feel about where the Chiefs-Chargers matchup actually lies within the power structure?
Yeah, I mean, this one's could be a potentially odd game because we don't know how 100% strength that the Chargers are going to be. I mean, right now, it looks like if they had to go out and play the game tomorrow, wouldn't have Justin Herbert, probably wouldn't have both their tackles, wouldn't have Joey Bosa, wouldn't have Derwin James. I mean, you're talking about a lot of key players for this team that they may not have this week. And then on top of that, you know, you're talking about playing in one of the Arrowhead West, because even though it's in Los Angeles, you know, there's going to be a lot of Chiefs fans there. And that can be, you know, in a game like this, that could actually be a detriment too, because, you know, I always worry about games that you get like this that on paper look like that they could just be complete messes because of one team has got so many injuries and so many problems. I mean, even Herbert plays. I mean, Derwin James said he thought maybe he was 35-40% before he tweaked his ankle a second time. So, you know, I mean, that can be an issue where a team really rallies around the backups, and especially if the Chargers end up playing one of their backup quarterbacks this week, if Herbert can't go. If it's Heineke, if it's Stick, I mean, whomever it may be that they go with, combination thereof. I mean, we've seen it before where, you know, a team that looks decimated comes out of nowhere and rallies around the backup guys. So this can't be a game, especially after the last 3 tough battles, that the Chiefs can't sleepwalk through this one, because you take this one and underestimate it and you put out a C- performance. This team still has enough resources to be able to catch you. So, and especially with this coaching staff. I mean, Jim Harbaugh's a really good coach and a really good motivator. So this is a game that you cannot take lightly, even if the Chargers end up not having some of their biggest names on the field on Sunday.
And I think it goes a long way towards taking that next step forward. If that's the way it works out, I mean, you can't feel sorry for the Chargers. They do this to themselves every year, so it's not new. But again, back to like Pittsburgh, Houston's leading the South. Really, is it, in your opinion, the same as mine? That this is a race between the Chiefs and the Josh Allen-led Bills at this point, and it's not very much wider than that. Am I wrong?
I mean, that's certainly the way that it looks right now. I mean, I think the question going into the season for me was, you know, just how much had Buffalo lost and how much were they able to replace that? I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, they've had a lot of turnover. They've lost some key players. They've but they've also got some good guys back, and it looks like they've drafted really well and even acquired, some other free agents that have helped them out in some places. So, and they've got a solid run game. So, it makes it a little bit more difficult to do what some of the teams want to do around the league now and go with a lot of light boxes and, try and take away the back end of the field for Josh Allen. None of that seems to be slowing down Josh Allen. I mean, he's absolutely elevating the guys around him, and that's what great quarterbacks do. So I think you have to give him the credit there. So, yeah, I mean, through 3 games, I don't think there's any doubt. You'd look at it and you'd say Chiefs and the Bills are the cream of the crop. And you're right. I mean, the Steelers are kind of a category of them, their own. I mean, it's a defense without a quarterback and an offense. So we'll see how long and far that can take Mike Tomlin. But I'm never going to underestimate what Mike Tomlin can do with a defense and a magic wand. We've seen it before, but that's pretty much all he has. And then there's everybody else. I mean, the Ravens are going to come back. The Bengals will probably come back, but how good are they? I mean, they're showing that they've got some flaws. And the Ravens, hey, maybe they just faced a couple of really bad matchups. The Chiefs were obviously, they gave the Chiefs everything that they had. So you can't really say that was a mismatch. They're not that far off the level of the Chiefs. Maybe the Chiefs are going to come down to the pack, and then all of a sudden it becomes more muddled. And it is a group that's got the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens. Where are the Texans? Good question. They might be in that category to be with the Chargers. And then it's just how far back is that group from the top bubble of the AFC? Because I think the Chargers, I think they're in that second bubble. I think they can be there because they've got the quarterback. They've got elements in place. I don't think the Chargers are all the way back yet. I mean, they've got more work to do. But I think they can be scary just because of their coach, and they've got a quarterback. And like I said, they've got a couple of defensive pieces, so it's not all together there. But hey, if they can make a playoff run and be scary. I just don't know how good they can be and what their ceiling really is.
And that's fair, and it will probably change between now and January. So the evolution has to be fought as well. Folks, you're going to get my prediction along with Chris's on our Friday preview show, and tomorrow he will go hand-to-hand combat with the Locked On Chargers show, so don't miss that. But we end today with Matt, not getting off the hook. Lay down what does happen. What's your prediction for this Chargers game?
Yeah, you saw me trying to get off the hook with all the injuries. And
yeah.
Hey, I don't even know who's going to play on Sunday, and it might not end up changing my prediction a whole lot. I mean, I'm considering that a lot of the Chargers aren't going to play. The key ones, then they might be missing 4 or 5 guys. If Herbert plays, that's a big one. So that's a key difference. But like I said, I mean, you can't underestimate this team and the rally around the flag, that you often see in the NFL when you get a team that looks like their back's up against the wall. But until the Chiefs blow somebody out, I'm still don't think that they're going to blow anybody out. Right now, the Chiefs, with the issues that they've got, they're the cats playing with the half dead mouse. I mean, they just let teams hang around. So if and when they start blowing some teams out, I'm going to continue to say that it's going to be ugly football. So right now, I'm going to say it's a 4-point win, 24-20 Chiefs.
I like it. Pile of dead mice the Chiefs are playing with. Okay, I'm going to use that analogy all week now, Matt. Thanks for that one. Folks,
might not
let
be
us
my
know.
best
What do
analogy,
you think?
but you've got it.
We're going to use it, though. We're going to run with it. So let us know what you think of Matt's prediction, and make sure you're here. Give us your prediction on our Friday show. We will have it for you. Thanks for spending your time with us, Matt.
Thanks, Red. Always great talking to you, my friend.
Have a good one, everybody. Tomorrow, it is Mortal Kombat with Locked On Chargers. Don't miss that one. And then the Friday preview. Thanks for being with us today. We very much appreciate it. Like, sub, hit the bell, check out Chiefs Digest, go to RGR Football, go to KC Chiefs Corner, go to NFL 33, and whatever else I can think of.